When the last visitor leaves and the palace gates swing shut, a different world awakens. Behind the grand facades and ceremonial displays lies a reality few ever witness, a world of unwavering discipline, silent sacrifice, and absolute dedication. This is the story of what happens when the crowds disappear and the royal guards begin their true work. The public sees them standing motionless in scarlet tunics and bearskin caps, or in crisp navy uniforms outside palace walls. They see the changing of the guard, the perfect synchronization, the tourist photographs. But when the ceremonies end and the gates close, these men and women step into a life governed by codes most of us can barely imagine. The transition begins in silence. As the final tour group exits and the heavy iron gates lock into place, the guards remain at their posts, but something shifts in the air. The performance aspect fades. What remains is pure function, pure duty. The ceremonial becomes operational. Inside the guardhouse, preparations for the night watch have already begun. Guards who completed the day shift move through their post-ceremony routine with practiced efficiency. Each piece of ceremonial uniform is removed with care, not because the day is over, but because different duties require different dress. The bearskin cap, weighing nearly 2 pounds, is placed on its designated stand. The tunic is hung precisely, buttons aligned, creases maintained. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is careless. Meanwhile, those assigned to night duties arrive hours before their shift begins. They do not simply show up and take position. The preparation ritual is extensive and unchanging. Uniforms are inspected by senior officers under harsh light. A loose thread, a smudge on leather, a buckle not quite centered. Any imperfection means returning to correct it. This is not vanity. This is the standard, and the standard does not bend for fatigue or circumstance. Physical readiness comes next. Stretching exercises, posture drills, breathing techniques, these are not optional. Standing motionless for hours places extraordinary strain on the body. Muscles must be prepared. Circulation must be optimized. Guards learn to shift their weight in ways invisible to observers, to flex their leg muscles without moving, to control their breathing so completely that their chest barely rises. The inspection before posting is rigorous. A senior officer examines each guard from boot to cap. Weapons are checked, not just for appearance but for readiness. Even ceremonial rifles must be maintained to operational standards. The officer looks into each guard's eyes, assessing alertness, focus, mental preparation. A nod means approval. Silence means correction is needed. Then they take their positions. The posts assigned after the gates close are different from daytime stations. Some guards stand at entrances the public never sees, private doorways, service entries, inner courtyards. Others patrol long corridors where their footsteps echo against stone floors laid centuries ago. Each position has a purpose. Each guard knows exactly what they are protecting and why. The standing is harder than it appears. The human body is not designed for motionless vigilance. Within 20 minutes, muscles begin to ache. Within an hour, the mind starts to wander. This is where training separates royal guards from ordinary soldiers. They have learned to enter a state of relaxed awareness, alert to everything around them while conserving mental energy. They notice every sound, every shadow, every change in their environment. But they do not react unless reaction is necessary. During winter months, the cold becomes an adversary. Stone buildings hold the chill. Guards standing at exterior posts endure temperatures that would send most people indoors within minutes. They cannot stamp their feet or rub their hands together. The uniform provides some protection, but ultimately, it is mental discipline that defeats the cold. They acknowledge the discomfort, then set it aside. The body shivers. The mind remains steady. Summer brings different challenges. The heavy uniforms trap heat. Dehydration becomes a risk during long shifts. Guards learn to hydrate extensively before posting and to recognize the early signs of heat exhaustion in themselves and their fellow sentries. If a guard begins to sway, the protocol is clear. Step back, signal for replacement, take no chances. Pride is never worth collapse. The night watch operates in 2-hour rotations. When the relief arrives, the guard being replaced does not simply walk away. They brief their replacement on everything observed during their watch, who passed through, what sounds were unusual, whether anything seemed out of place. This transfer of knowledge is brief but thorough. Continuity of awareness is essential. Between shifts, guards retreat to the duty room. Here, the formality relaxes slightly, but never disappears. Tea is prepared in silence. Meals are simple and quick. Conversation, when it occurs, is quiet and purposeful. This is not a break from duty. It is a pause within duty. Senior guards use these intervals to mentor younger members. The lessons are practical and specific. How to distribute weight during a 4-hour post. Which breathing pattern helps maintain alertness during the pre-dawn hours when the body naturally craves sleep. How to assess whether an approaching person poses a security concern or simply took a wrong turn. These skills are not taught in manuals. They are passed from one generation of guards to the next through direct instruction and careful observation. The hierarchy is absolute but not harsh. Rank determines responsibility, not worth. A sergeant with 15 years of service shows the same respect to a junior guard that they expect in return, but when orders are given, they are followed without question or delay. This is not about power, it is about function. In situations where seconds matter, there is no time for debate. Around midnight, the palace settles into its deepest quiet. This is when the mental challenge intensifies. The body's circadian rhythm insists that this is time for sleep. The environment offers little stimulation. This is where the mind must be strongest. Guards employ various mental techniques. Some count their breaths, others recite passages memorized long ago. Some solve mathematical problems in their heads. Anything to keep the mind engaged without becoming distracted. The night is not always silent. Sometime around 2 in the morning, plumbing groans in old buildings. Wind rattles windows in their frames. Small nocturnal animals move through gardens. Every sound must be evaluated. Is this normal? Is this expected? Guards learn the acoustic signature of the spaces they protect. They know which floorboards creak, which doors whistle when wind passes through gaps, which heating pipes clank as they expand. Training never truly ends. Even experienced guards participate in regular drills. Some are scheduled, others come without warning. A senior officer might approach a guard mid-shift and pose a scenario. Suspicious package discovered in the courtyard, unauthorized person attempting entry, medical emergency within the palace. The guard must respond instantly with the correct protocol. Hesitation means additional training. This is not punishment, it is preparation. Physical training continues throughout a guard's career. Before dawn, while the city still sleeps, guards engage in rigorous exercise. Strength, endurance, flexibility, all must be maintained. The standards do not lower with age or experience. A 40-year-old sergeant meets the same physical requirements as a 20-year-old recruit. The body is a tool of the duty, and tools must be kept sharp. The mental endurance required is perhaps greater than the physical. Hour after hour of vigilance without visible threat can be more exhausting than active engagement. The mind craves stimulation, variation, novelty. Instead, there is repetition, stillness, silence. Some guards say the hardest part is not the standing or the cold or the long hours. It is the constant suppression of the impulse to move, to speak, to react to boredom. Yet they do not speak of sacrifice. When asked about the difficulty of their duty, most guards deflect or minimize. This is simply what the role requires. Complaining would serve no purpose. The gates must be guarded. The palace must be protected. Someone must do it. They have chosen to be that someone. As dawn approaches, the palace begins to wake. Kitchen staff arrive through service entrances. Administrative workers appear in offices. The night guards do not relax their vigilance. If anything, increased activity demands greater attention. More people mean more variables to monitor. The day shift arrives with the same meticulous preparation the night guards underwent hours earlier. The handover is formal and thorough. Night guards report everything observed, everything that seemed unusual, everything the day shift needs to know. Then they surrender their posts and return to the guardhouse for final inspection. Only after being formally dismissed do they truly step away from duty. Uniforms are stored properly. Equipment is accounted for. A senior officer reviews the night's log, asking questions, noting patterns. Then, and only then, they are released. Most go home to sleep. Some will return for training in the afternoon. Others have administrative duties or equipment maintenance. A few, nearing the end of their service, will mentor new recruits, teaching them the unwritten rules, the small techniques, the mental strategies that make the difference between a guard who endures and a guard who excels. The public will never see these hours. When tourists arrive and cameras point toward guards in ceremonial uniform, they will not know about the night watches, the cold posts, the mental discipline required to remain perfectly still while fatigue pulls at every muscle. They will not know about the inspections, the training, the hierarchy, the silent sacrifice. And the guards prefer it this way. Their duty is not performed for recognition. It is performed because it must be performed. The palace must be protected. Standards must be maintained. Tradition must be honored. In this dedication lies a profound truth about duty itself. Royal guards teach us that true responsibility is not loud or dramatic. It does not seek applause or acknowledgement. It shows up before dawn and remains after dusk. It endures discomfort without complaint and maintains standards without supervision. Their silent service reveals that strength is not always visible. The ability to stand motionless requires more power than constant movement. The discipline to follow protocols perfectly, hour after hour, demands greater character than occasional heroics. Patience, when maintained across years and decades, becomes a form of courage. These guards demonstrate that every role, no matter how ceremonial it may appear, exists for a reason. Their stillness protects motion within the palace. Their vigilance allows others to work without fear. Their discipline maintains an institution larger than any individual. Perhaps most importantly, they show us that dignity comes from commitment to something beyond ourselves. They are not merely individuals in uniforms. They are links in a chain stretching back through generations, each guard upholding standards set long before they arrived and ensuring those standards will continue long after they depart. When we see a royal guard standing motionless outside a palace gate, we are witnessing more than ceremony. We are witnessing the visible manifestation of invisible values: duty without fanfare, responsibility without recognition, service without self-interest. The palace gates will close again tonight, the crowds will disperse, the tourists will leave, and the guards will remain, standing in silence, watching through darkness, upholding their duty with the same unwavering dedication they have shown for centuries. This is their choice, their commitment, their quiet contribution to something greater than themselves. In a world that often celebrates the loud and the dramatic, there is profound wisdom in their silent strength. They remind us that the most important duties are often the ones no one sees, and the deepest strength is often the strength to simply stand firm, hour after hour, doing what must be done because it must be done. This is what happens after the palace gates close. This is the life the public never sees. And this is the lesson we can all carry forward: that true duty requires no audience. True strength needs no applause, and true service asks for nothing in return.